Hi there everyone, Rob here with WesternPacificWeather.com. It is currently the 6th of December 2011, and today we're going to be looking at the Indian Ocean where we have Tropical Cyclone Alenga down here, that is currently drifting off towards the southeast ever so slowly, packing winds about 45, gusting up to 55 knots. Does bring the potential for some heavy rainfall along the western coast of Australia here, possibly, but doesn't look like it's going to be too significant in the long range. And also, as we look across the Western Pacific today, we have a surge of energy heading off towards the Philippines, could produce some heavy rainfall. While over Japan, you're seeing that steady rain throughout the entire day today, and even snow up towards Hokkaido. So let's get started here with the tropical cyclone in the Indian Ocean, where we have the storm to continue to spiral down here. It is just south of the Cocos Islands off here towards the north. They're seeing some heavy rainfall actually today due to some convection persisting along the northern periphery of this system. That's basically just due to some outflow with it. But overall, it does look like it has lost some of its overall circulation in the past 24 hours due to an increase in vertical wind shear and dry air inflow coming in from the south. And that's why we're seeing this sharp boundary down along the southern periphery right in here. That's due to that dry air and also this wind shear. And if we pull up the wind shear chart here, you can see that there actually is that encounter raining right down here about 20 to 30 knots. Now this is due to the approaching trough we've been talking about here. You can see it out here towards the east. See all those areas of clouds? Well, that's an extension of a cold front farther down towards the south, and it looks like the system is just going to grab onto this cold front here or overall this trough and start pushing quickly off towards the southeast. And then with that, you're going to see a rapid de-intensification with it. So something you want to watch here in the coming days. But for right now, if we look at the water vapor imagery, as noted before, you have all this dry air down here associated with the approaching high pressure system, and that's also going to cause this system to weaken. And lastly, I want to look at the convergence at the surface with this system. And you see these higher numbers, that means you have those higher areas of convergence and some of these higher cloud tops, and you see right around that center of circulation. So with that, you still could see some more burst of convection with this. Definitely, if you're out to sea in this entire region, stay clear of this. Definitely, especially along the right front quadrant, right in this region right here is where you're going to see those highest winds, and those winds upwards about 45, gusting to 55 knots. But for the most part, I'm sure most of the people watching this video are not out there, and you want to know, especially along the western coast of Australia, where this system is going to be going and how will it affect you. Let's start off by looking at the GFS model track outlook with this system, and you're showing it move off quickly towards the southeast beginning tomorrow on the 7th into the 8th, and then eventually off towards the 13th. You see how it kind of just starts to slow down right in here? Well, I think that's a model picking up with this storm starting to decrease in intensity, and GFS is actually one of the models that are pulling this the farthest off towards the east. So will this make landfall as a tropical system along the western coast of Australia? At this point, I would definitely say absolutely not. You see these temperatures down here? That is definitely getting really down, kind of cooled down in the region, upwards of the high teens, not conducive for tropical development. And if we look at the wind fields with this system, you see those completely drop off as they get into the coming days as well, all the way down to about 20 knots in the outlook. So the west coast of Australia, you could see those small craft conditions. That's about 15 to 20 knots. I'm not really expecting gale force conditions right out here, and definitely not anything worse than what you would see with some of these polar lows that run through the region. So with that said, here is a look at the GFS model outlook for the entire region around Australia and the Indochina region, even off here towards the north. And you actually can see some of that surge of energy off here towards the Philippines as well. But for this tropical cyclone, we do see it start to move off towards the southeast. Will really start to turn in that comet shape we were talking about. And then by Thursday into Friday, you'll really begin to see it weaken out here as it totally dissipates due to that increase in vertical wind shear, loses upper level support, and fades out. So you could see some rain showers here along Western Australia, but especially down far south as Perth, one of the most metropolitan areas here on the west coast. Really, you're not going to see anything significant, and definitely not anything worse than what you see out here during the winter with a lot of these polar lows that run through the region. So with that said, here's a look at the Bureau of Meteorology's webpage here on the 6th of December. They say no current cyclones, and when we look at JTWC, they have the track on the storm moving off towards the southeast. They do expect it to reach the equivalent of a typhoon typhoon, though. I do want to mention that on the 7th into the 8th, they expect sustained winds to get upwards of 70, gusting up to 85 knots. But good news, as already shown, we expect that dissipation here on the 10th into the 11th. Still stay well west of the coast of Australia here, specifically along the Learmouth here. You could see some rain in the long range, but nothing significant as already noted. But with that said, let's move off towards the north here, where I mentioned that we have this surge of energy moving towards the Philippines today, and there's actually one model picking up on a developing low rating here. Don't think that's going to happen. Really too much wind shear off here towards the northern periphery, and it's not very organized. But Visayas and the southern parts of Luzon here, could see some heavy rainfall here in the next 24 hours. And already here in the past 24 hours, Manila has actually seen upwards of 67 millimeters of rainfall. That's at the airport there. And even down here in portions of Visayas, actually Cataraman, down here along Leyte, that was been reporting upwards about 80 to 90 millimeters of rainfall in the past 24 hours as well, as this big surge of energy moves through. Not expecting any tropical cyclone development with this, but the potential of mudslides and landslides is there as that ground starts to loosen up, and definitely in some of these localized low-lying valley areas here, and even in urban areas where you have poor drainage, you could be seeing some flooding with this. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on here in the next 24 to 48 hours. And lastly, I mentioned about rainfall over Japan today, and that looks like it's going to continue to persist out into Wednesday morning. You're really going to start to see that push away high pressure continuing to push in from the north, but here along the west coast of Hokkaido, you're still going to be seeing those ocean effect snow we've been talking about here. That is well north of the 528 line. I remember I mentioned that a few updates ago. That 528 line is really something I like to use to define the difference between snow and rain out here, basically freezing and non-freezing precipitation across the world. That's really kind of one of those common lines you like to use. But also, as we look at this model outlook, you continue to see that rain push across the Philippines as well. But really, looks like that's really going to stay unorganized. And lastly, I do want to mention on Thursday into Friday, you see another area of energy move across Japan here, out ahead of our next cold surge that's going to be pushing in. And if we look out here, even into the weekend, you see those temperatures continue to drop quickly down here on Friday and the Saturday. You could be seeing freezing temperatures here around the Kanto Plain or just north of the Kanto Plain. So definitely something to keep an eye on here, and definitely expect that snow showers along the west coast of Honshu, Hokkaido, and even upwards of South Korea as well. So here is a look at your lows tomorrow here in the Western Pacific and Eastern Asia. 0 in Seoul, a low of 5 in Tokyo. So really cool and cold temperatures out here, and still down towards Borneo and Indonesia, though you're seeing those temperatures continuing in the low 20s. So still kind of steamy out there, and definitely tropical weather, and giving that potential for that continued tropical development down there in the Indian Ocean. That is all for right now, everybody. Thanks again for watching here at westernpacificweather.com. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, as usual, please post them in the comment box below. And lastly, I do want to let you know about my new channel. I'm going to be posting up here in the near future. In about less than a week, I do expect to have that one online, showing some of my weather shares and just ventures around Japan here, and also the entire Western Pacific. So look out for that, and also look out for some new updates. Possibly tomorrow, I will have my next update on our tropical cyclone. So stay safe out there, everybody. Have a great day. Have a great day.